Hello everybody. We are still with these masks. Unfortunately, COVID continues. But let me take this off to speak to you. So yes, COVID continues, unfortunately, both in Poland and around the world, although the statistics in Poland are very encouraging when we consider what is happening in some other places still, and obviously some places where we have colleagues in PSA terminals in other locations. But we must be careful, and so we know that the government rules are still applying, and we are still applying some strict rules on hygiene, social distancing and disinfecting here at the terminal. This is obviously for our benefit and for our safety, thinking about our colleagues and all of their families, so that we can keep any contagion to the minimum and continue to protect all of us. That's the most important thing, and obviously then to protect the business and to keep the cargo flowing through the terminal for all of the families around Poland who need the goods that are coming into the country. So please continue to be vigilant and continue to live by the rules. Keep yourselves socially distanced. Try not to have too much contact with each other directly. Use the masks when we're in a meeting or in a bus with other people. Obviously in the fresh air then it's a little bit different, and we know that we are safer in that area. And of course, if you haven't already done so, we would encourage you to become vaccinated. I have taken the vaccination here in Poland since I arrived. As you know, I was working and living in Cuba for many years before I arrived, and there were no vaccines available in Cuba. I contracted COVID in March of this year, and I still don't know who I caught the disease from. None of my colleagues became sick and none of my friends became sick, although we had very strict lockdown rules in Cuba at the time. And I started to feel unwell and had symptoms of flu. So I was feeling cold inside of myself, but sweating with the fever of the flu. I did a PCR test and it was confirmed that I had COVID, and so I was taken to a local hospital in Havana, and they started to give me some medicines immediately. After 5 days, I was negative from COVID, but incredibly, I felt worse. And so they didn't want to release me from the hospital, and I was quite happy to stay because my breathing was becoming very difficult. After this, I actually was taken to intensive care for 2 days, and I spent 7 or 8 days on oxygen. And it was really very, very, very difficult for me to get out of the bed in the hospital and to maybe walk 5 or 6 meters to go to the toilet. I have really never felt so ill in my life. And as I lay there in the hospital bed, I thought of the many, many families that have lost family members to this disease. And I thought to myself, well, I feel so bad, I feel so weak, that I'm not surprised that other people have died in their thousands. Fortunately, I recovered, and I've gone through some very, very intense rehabilitation in Cuba. The medical treatment was excellent. I'm very, very grateful for everything I received there. But sadly, after this, we have lost some friends in Cuba from the terminal who have died from the disease, and 1 or 2 people in the shipping and logistics community. So it's been a very, very sad time. And we know that had we have been vaccinated, that the chances are that we would have had a better defense to the disease, and therefore we would have not been in the hospital. Really, the vaccine is designed to do that. The vaccine is not a barrier. It doesn't mean that we won't get COVID. It just means that the body is much, much better prepared to cope with the disease and hopefully not see us going into the hospital because the disease has created such a problem inside of us. I had very chronic pneumonia as a result of the disease. So when I was already negative after 5 days, the problem was that the lungs were damaged and it created a pneumonia that made my breathing very, very difficult. So please, everybody, do give some consideration to my personal story and the story that's repeated in many, many places and many families around the world. And we would encourage you to please become vaccinated for your own safety and for safety of your family and of your colleagues here at DCT. Thank you.